Dylan Sampson, by some, is considered 8th best in the Heisman odds. What the H? Brought to you by Medicare Misty.
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
All right, do me a favor, Caleb, and pull up the Heisman odds from the guys in Vegas. And then we have a column on OffTheHookSports.com I would encourage you to check out, because we had insiders weighing in on Tennessee's running back Dylan Sampson and in his Heisman chances as the Vols prepare for Georgia. So let's start with my thoughts. My thoughts are, and I'm a Heisman voter, he would be in my top 5 right now. Let's assume he ends the year averaging 150, 160 yards. He keeps going at a high rate of production. He's in my top 5. Now, I only get 3 selections, so that really doesn't matter. But where would he be, Caleb? Let me ask you first before we take a look at Vegas and some other Heisman voters.
Where would he be in mine personally?
Yeah.
Let me think. I would probably have him behind Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Dart. I'd probably have those as my top 4. And
so you're right at top 5.
Yeah, I'm right at top 5. You could convince me either way between him or Shedeur Sanders. You could convince me either way on the 5th one.
Yep. I think Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are actually going to split that Colorado vote. So I actually see a scenario that if Dylan Sampson continues to play well and they beat Georgia, that he could actually win this thing. And I'm not just saying get invited to New York. I was talking to a Heisman voter last night, and I said, we've seen guys come out of nowhere before and win this thing, and I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. So I think that bodes well for Dylan Sampson. So I polled a couple of Heisman voters and guys that I really respect their opinion. Knoxville talk show host Will West has Simpson 8th on his list behind Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, Sanders, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel, Colorado athlete Travis Hunter, and Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. All right, Jimmy Himes, he said he's considering Sampson to be a strong candidate, saying, quote, I strongly consider Tennessee running back Dylan Sampson a Heisman Trophy candidate. He is on pace to set Tennessee's single-season records for rushing yards and total touchdowns. If he has a huge game against Georgia and the Vols win and he continues to churn out 130-yard games, he'll be hard to ignore. Also, his candidacy could depend on how the others perform. I don't see a lot of slam dunk players right now. I don't either. I mean, I don't see a Cam Newton out there that's like, he's got to lose it. I mean, there's not a guy that's got it in the bag right now. And there really isn't until you get to November anyway. I hate it when people get too fired up about the Heisman in October. It's won in November. John Adams said that he would have, and we'll visit with John a little bit later in the program, he said Sampson's the best running back in the SEC, but he would have him 8th. Ryan McGee of ESPN was probably the strongest proponent for Dylan Sampson, saying, quote, top 5 for sure. I'd have him 3rd with a chance to jump to number 1 at Georgia. He's criminally overlooked. Now that Cam Ward is falling off radars, I'm hoping he'll get more attention. Chuck Oliver, who hosts the Chuck Oliver Show, says the most outstanding eligible player in college football is Travis Hunter, then Shedeur, then probably 5 others in 3rd, and Sampson is one of those 5. Paul Feinbaum said he has Sampson in the top 5. Knoxville talk show host Tyler Ivins thinks Sampson has a long way to go. He agrees with Vegas, who has him pegged at about 13th. Let's take a look at those Vegas numbers and where Dylan Sampson is by the guys that build big buildings out in the desert. That's easy for me to say. Medicare Misty, licensed in over 40 states, can help you with your Medicare needs, no matter where you're watching, and no charge from her to you.
I've been in business actually 19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
All right. So what does Vegas think about Dylan Sampson's Heisman odds?
I'm pulling those up now. And all right, so looking at people who are leading. All right, so let's just go down this list, Dave, real quick. And Dylan Sampson is way down there. And on FanDuel, you can't even bet on him. As I'm looking at it right now, Dave, you can't even place a bet on Dylan Sampson. So, like,
I saw him at 25,000 to 1.
Plus 25,000 or 25,000 to 1?
Plus 25,000, excuse me. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, but see, that could be on some. FanDuel doesn't have it. Vegas Insider doesn't. Vegas Insider has him down at 16th, and they're looking at plus 20,000 to 1. So right around what you said. So Dylan Sampson's ranging from 20,000 to plus 30,000 and could be ranging anywhere from 16th to 12th in many of the Heisman ratings, or even outside of the top 25. It's such a broad situation that it's just, honestly, it's kind of crazy looking at it. But players that are clearly ahead of him. Travis Hunter, no issue there, right?
I don't know. I'm an MVP guy. So would Colorado still have the same record without Travis Hunter? I think they would
not. No, they would. No, they would not. No, they would not have the same record with. I think they lose 4 other games without Travis Hunter.
Okay, let's do it this way. Let me tell you that I think they're above, but I'll make an argument against. How about that? And that would be my argument against. I think Travis Hunter is a fantastic player, but I think at the end of the day, that team revolves around Shedeur Sanders. So that would be my argument against, but I don't have a problem with him being in front of Dylan Sampson. Who else? All
right, so Travis Hunter is ahead of him. Now, I'm probably going to agree with what you say when you respond to this, but you have to understand where the voters are coming from. But Ashton Jeanty at Boise State. The guy's having a Barry Sanders type year at Boise State.
I do not have Ashton Jeanty because of the level of play. If I had a vote for one running back, it would not be Ashton Jeanty. It would be Dylan Sampson if things go chalk the rest of the year. And let's say that Jeanty's right at that Barry Sanders record. Remember, he has an extra game to do it. And so that's a little overinflated in my opinion. And they don't play the same run defense out there. So go right ahead. Who's next?
But Dave, you have to be fair on that. You're right. They don't play the same run defense. They also don't have the same run blocking. Dylan Sampson is running behind the best interior line in college football, maybe, with Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, and Andre Carrick. Okay. You wouldn't trade that trio for anybody.
No, but I'll just tell you that I think that Sampson is a better player than Jeanty and will be a better player in the NFL. That's a little bit of eyeball test, but that's where I am.
Okay, so after Jeanty, Dylan Gabriel. Again, I don't think you have a problem with Dylan Gabriel being ahead of Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, he's kind of been the default guy, but I thought at the beginning of the year, but as long as Oregon's number one in a year of which I don't think anybody's really separated themselves from the pack, he might actually win it. So I don't have a problem with him being ahead of Dylan Sampson at this point. By the way, poll question, which we want you to vote on. Why isn't Dylan Sampson a Heisman contender? Arkansas lost, Vols bias, not a quarterback. He still will be. Go ahead. Who's next, Caleb?
All right, next. Still ahead of him, even though they lost, even though this does open the door, is Cam Ward. And I think you and I both thought Cam Ward was running away with this thing until last weekend. And that's brought him back down to earth. I don't think anybody could say that that's brought him back down to earth enough, though, to be behind Dylan Sampson, because without Cam Ward, Miami's got 4 losses on their schedule right now. Easily. Not even a debate.
I thought that Miami would slip. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be against Georgia Tech. So while, yes, Cam Ward is kind of winning it as the MVP of one of the surprise/best teams, but I didn't think it would last, so I'm not surprised. But if you want to put him above Dylan Sampson right now, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So Next, a couple that I'm not so sure I agree with, and I'll give you that. Curtis Rourke for Indiana has insane stats. Indiana is undefeated. Indiana has won 2 games without Curtis Rourke at quarterback this year.
Yeah, no, that's a no.
So,
it's not there.
Jalen Milroe is still ahead of Dylan Sampson. And honestly, after what Alabama did to LSU this past weekend, I think that it's going to be hard for Dylan Sampson to surpass him unless he runs for like 200 yards against Georgia.
The thing about Jalen Milroe is he's such a physical specimen that some voters could see that. And if they want to just say, I vote on the best player, which is arguable how you should vote, he might be an easy way out. Who else?
Yep. Okay, so after Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart is ahead of him. I think you've been very high on Jackson Dart. I don't know how. I mean, I'd probably put Jackson Dart ahead of him too. I default to quarterbacks, so like I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I'm very high on Jackson Dart, but something tells me that Lane Kiffin would have found another quarterback to run that offense at a high level. And that just might be the most talented roster in the SEC. So I would have Sampson over Dart, and I really like Dart.
Shedeur, let's see, I'd have Dart over Sampson. Production at quarterback is going to outweigh it for me most of the time. Shedeur Sanders, by the way, you talked about him earlier.
Yeah, he to me would have to be above. But if you're looking for Dylan Sampson to get in there, I think that Shedeur and Travis could split the vote. And don't forget this, it's the vote's largely made by media members, and they probably do not like Deion Sanders because he made it personal with a reporter there. That shouldn't factor in, but I'm just giving you ways that Dylan Sampson can get back in this race.
All right, another one who I don't think should be on here, but is Quinn Ewers. I mean, he missed a good chunk of the season, and in their one big game, he played like complete garbage.
Yeah, I'm okay with you missing one game, but he missed like 2.5 games. So that, to me, automatically takes you out of contention.
And he, again, in their marquee game against Georgia, he was horrible. So, yeah. Okay, so Will Howard with Ohio State. They do have a loss, but why?
I just don't think he's very good. I don't think he's good at.
Do you vote based on eye test or production, Dave? Honest question. Do you vote based on eye test or production as a voter?
All the above. I mean, I hate to cop out on you, but all the above.
Because, I mean, he is completing 74% of his passes.
Yeah, but I don't think they play anybody. And
they just played Penn State, and they played Oregon before that.
Well, and they lost to Oregon, and they very well could have lost to Penn State, but Penn State's coached by James Franklin. All right, who else?
I mean, you could make an argument that they played a tougher schedule than Tennessee has to this point.
Penn
State and Oregon are – I mean, the only team Tennessee's played that rivals either of them is Alabama.
All right, who else?
Okay, so next is Cade Klubnik at Clemson.
Yeah.
I think that loss to Louisville hurt them pretty significantly. And then lastly, Drew Aller at Penn State.
Drew Aller at Penn. No,